We have Marijn
Kruisselbrink.
You know, I'm trying to get good.
Louise had a lot of settings.
And he's going to be talking about the Calligra suite,
Okay.
which if anyone has been following the KDE community over the past 6 months, this should be a very interesting talk. Thank you.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm talking about the Calligra suite. Well, first, say a bit about who I am. Well, I'm Marijn Kruisselbrink. I've been contributing to KDE since about 2006, first working on macOS support, and later started contributing to KOffice back then, and we did some work on KDE on mobile, and well, since about a year I think I'm now the Calligra tables, or back in the kspread maintainer, and I've been working for KO GmbH as full-time working on Calligra. And I'm not feeling all too well today, but yeah, just got in last night from Europe, from Berlin, so still a bit jet lagged. Well, what is Calligra? Well, it's basically a rename of KOffice, although there is still another half of it also. Most of in KOffice is the oldest free office suite available, basically. Back when it was started a long time ago, there was really no alternative open source available. OpenOffice existed but wasn't open yet until about a year or so after KOffice started. Well, Qt based, obviously, KDE based, KDE libraries created by KDE community. And well, it's basically a full office suite that has all kinds of applications. We have productivity applications, Word, formerly known as KWord, Tables, which is formerly known as kspread, and Stage, which is the presentation application of what used to be KPresenter. And then there are the creativity applications. We have Carbon, vector graphics, Krita, raster graphics. And then the database application, managing application Kexi, similar to Microsoft Access. And finally, we have project management plan. And then one that's missing, well, Kivio is also Kivio, or which got renamed to Flow, is not yet released, but there's somebody now working on it, creating a really cool diagram and application, which Kivio existed in the KOffice 1.x times, but it never got really ported to that when we ported to KDE4. So, but now we have finally somebody working on that. And well, the native file format of Calligra is open document format, just like OpenOffice, and well, but we can also load other file formats, mostly load. So there's pretty good support for Microsoft binary formats and the Microsoft XML formats these days, partly because Nokia sponsored us to implement that and provided their own developers to help implement that. And then well, HTML import and export, I think. There are a bunch of other file formats that are less used but still exist, and not all of them are very well maintained at the moment, but the architecture of Calligra makes it very easy to export for new file formats. And there is preliminary work on exporting to at least Microsoft Excel file format. It's not fully functional yet. Well, Calligra is developed by the Calligra community. Well, we have around 70 developers, with about 20 or so that are regularly contributing and maintaining applications. Well, and if you include all translators, you get a lot more, obviously. Well, and about twice a year we all meet, well, not everybody, but we meet in some nice location to work and design positions. And well, I just got back from Berlin this weekend, where we had the most recent meeting of that kind. It was also the biggest of the kind. Usually we have around 15 to 20 people, but we had more than 30 people this time. So our community is really growing, and development is very active and going quickly. Very great. Well, in May 2009, we started on another project at well, Nokia proposed to us to help to create a mobile office viewer for Memo for the N900, and they wanted to use Calligra for that, and of course we were very happy with that. So part of that project, they greatly improved support for loading various file formats and also rendering them. Well, that resulted in an application called FreeOffice, which recently got renamed to Calligra Mobile to illustrate that it's really part of Calligra and not just an external application. And at the time, this also helped to start KO. The company existed before that, but it didn't really do anything. And this really was the impulse that was needed to make it actually a useful company, and it made it possible to get the development going very quickly. And also partly because of, adding the mobile user interface was made possible because of the architecture of Calligra. I mean, at the bottom we have Qt, obviously, and on top of Qt, well, there's KDE and Beam, of course, and there are the Calligra libraries. And well, the Calligra libraries basically are a framework to have objects in an Office document and how they are rendered, and well, there's text and graphics items, images, whatever, charts. But all the objects themselves are plugins, and then on top of the libraries, for each application, you have a separate plugin that is the actual application that contains logic for loading the file. Well, loading the files also partly in the libraries. But files, formats, rendering various sorts of document types with pages or with, well, a continuous row of pages in a Word document or slides in a presentation. That logic is separate for each application. And then on top of that, you have various user interfaces, like the desktop user interface for normal applications, or for each application it's separately. And then, well, we have Calligra Mobile, which uses those same plugins internally to show documents in a completely different user interface with still full support for editing. So, and then there are some experimental user interfaces using QML to create an Office application. There are various projects, people working on that. So it's all very flexible, and besides that, Calligra is also used by various companies around the world to embed them in your own application to show as a report generator and stuff like that. Well, it's all very flexible to allow for that. And yeah. So, about a year and a half ago, K-Office, well, Calligra split off of K-Office. Then it was, well, K-Office was already pretty good, but development really picked up speed after that, and well, we're getting pretty close to getting something usable, but we still need quite some time to get, mainly the text layout in Word documents is still a bit flaky at the moment, so that needs some work. But at the end of, we hope to get the first release later this year, hopefully first beta around September. We'll see how it goes, but it should be possible. So yeah, based on Qt, which already makes it very good, of course. And well, it's also designed to be low, well, not use too much resources, be flexible, and allow to load only that what you need. Every bit in the Calligra is a plugin, basically. You have plugins for various objects you can have in your document, text, graphics items. You have plugins for file formats, you have plugins to convert from Microsoft file formats to ODF. And there are plugins to do editing, to manipulate them. User interface items are plugins, and because of that, it's very flexible and can be adapted to all kinds of needs and user experiences. Well, so the standard desktop user interface, which, well, just looks like you would expect, well, the FK presenter, but it still looks the same in Calligra. And then the mobile user interface, which uses the same code underneath to actually load and render documents, but has a completely different user interface to edit and browse through them, and much more suitable for small devices like phones. And well, so that's all possible. Then there is some experimental work on the tablet version that, well, this is just the same Memo version, but running on a Migo-based tablet. But there are also work on experimental QML versions of a more tablet-suited user interface. And then, yes, so you have all kinds of plugins. For example, this is one of the projects I worked in 2007, I think, for the Google Summer of Code, I implemented a plugin that allows music notation support in any of your Calligra applications. So you can create very simple music sheets, and I never really got time afterwards to actually finish it and make it more usable. But the basics are all there, and it's a very nice example of the power of the design of Calligra, where you can just create any kind of plugin for any kind of object you'd like to embed and have special user interface for that. So the plugin basically consists of two parts. You have the actual shape that's responsible for the loading and storing and painting and rendering. And then on the other side there are tools that manipulate shapes and provide a user interface to interact with it. And you can have multiple tools for one shape, or one tool that can manipulate multiple shapes and all mixing. And they can be in the same plugin, but they can also be in separate plugins. So you can really extend it in any way you like. So what will the future bring? Well, of course, the first step is to improve the actual Office engine that's underneath it all. If you can't properly render anything that's there, you can have a really great user interface, but if the documents you show are wrong, then that's not very useful. So that's where the main focus will be. And besides that, there are various people working on creating QML-based user interfaces on top of Calligra, which makes making custom user interfaces much more easy, and adapting into all kinds of targets and platforms. And then with open document format on the 2.2 being about to be released, I'm not entirely sure what the current status is, but we want to, of course, have good support for all the new features in there. Well, RDF metadata is one very nice feature in ODF 1.2. It basically allows you to attach any kind of metadata to any object in your document. So you can have a name of somebody and attach an address book item to that. So you know not only that it's a name, but who it is, and have whatever document metadata you want. And if you attach an address book item to a piece of text in your document, you can even, on the mobile version of Calligra, click on that name and directly call the person from Calligra without having to do anything special, copying their phone number. And you can, for another nice thing what RDF is used for, this one company, is they use it to attach metadata to tables in a document that show what the tables were generated from SAN reports, and then they can regenerate the report using nothing but the actual ODF file that contains not just the report but also the metadata. And then Open Formula is the specification in ODF that contains spreadsheet functions that every ODF implementing application should support. We support quite a lot of that already, but there are mainly financial functions still missing, are rather tricky to implement. So that's where some more work will be. And then, as I said earlier, export to Microsoft formats is of course not the main focus. Microsoft Office supports ODF, so you can just load ODF if you want. But well, some people still seem to think we need to be able to save to Microsoft file formats, so maybe we'll work on that too. And, lots and lots of plugins to do whatever thing we can think of, or whatever thing you can think of. And makes it all very flexible, snippet. And well, if you want to get involved or just look at what we do, well, go to our website or mailing list, HD channel. And well, that's basically all I had to say. Are there any questions?
No question. You said you're looking in QML-based UIs. Are you looking into that as alternative UIs, additional UIs, or are you thinking about redoing the whole UI?
No, it's at the moment mainly for alternative UIs, creating a tablet version or something like that. For desktop, QML is still not very useful, and we have a really good UI already, so that's not something we're looking into at the moment.
Are you thinking of how to develop the UI further? It pretty much looks like you expect an Office application to look like since, I don't know, forever. So are you looking into other ways how to do UI?
Well, we are looking into ways to improve it. And that's how Calligra spent this weekend. We had several usability people and some students from a university in Finland that for a university project worked on looking at usability issues in Calligra. So,
that's nice.
and they probably will find new students to do next year the same thing. So we are really looking at usability there too.
You mentioned upcoming beta potentially in September of this year. So what are some of your primary concerns to getting there? What are the primary obstacles? What do you hope to accomplish?
Well, at the moment, the main thing that's keeping it back is the current text layout engine in Calligra Works is being completely rewritten basically, because the old approach works but was not very flexible and very hard to extend and add new features. So that's a lot of work that needs time to stabilize. Other than that, it's mostly shouldn't be too much of a problem.
With the export to Microsoft formats, this is one thing that's going to. How are you dealing with, like, for instance, in case spread? With tables.
Yeah.
Having to wrap my mind around the name changes. In tables where you've got certain fields which are actually using scripting for, like, the actual handling of the content, how are you converting? Are you guys going to be able to convert that to, like, VB script in the
Not in the first version at least. We also don't import any scripting from the other way around.
Okay.
It's not something we're looking into it.
Okay.
Everything else works.
Any other questions?
Can you give some screen? Can you just show us?
Well, I'm using it, but.
But some of the mobile UI experience.
Uh,
You got it there.
I can run it on the desktop, I guess. Where do I have it?
Tabs.
It's the observation effect.
Well, UI doesn't. You look at great on the desktop, but it's super.
Nice. I think it looked nice.
Yeah.
This is a view.
Looks
I
even
want
better
that
if
like a
you're
viewer
using
app.
the phone.
Well, especially since you have like the different workspaces for Plasma, you could pretty easily say, you know, if you're running in this type of workspace, then
Yeah.
render in this format.
With QML it would be even easier, just load a different QML file and you're done. This is still QWidget based, but it's
You said there's about 70 developers, about 20 core developers.
yeah, it depends on a bit how you count, of course, but yeah.
But do you have any idea how many of them are in North America or South America?
Not many.
Not many. That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, mostly European.
Okay, thanks.
So if you're looking for a project to get involved with.
Really cool. Yeah. We can always use more help. Yeah.
One more thing is about the Microsoft support. You said you have write support, which you haven't had. Is it some cost of that because you have proprietary plugins or things like that in all?
The Microsoft file formats are documented by Microsoft openly and freely, and you can do whatever you want with them. And our plugin is completely open too. The saving to Excel files is open too.
The reason I ask is because it's a well-known fact that some part of that format is actually proprietary, not accessible for free software developers. That was a part of the ISO process. You don't know anything about that?
XML files? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we don't have really looked into melding those bits yet.
Yeah, it goes on formulas
Yes,
and all.
you could create a proprietary
several other
formula.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not fully supported. That's what you were saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.